Okay. So we'll, Ayya Niyyānikā will begin with a meditation, guided meditation. Okay. Okay. Yep. Janta will do the homage just to the precepts. Okay. Not the precepts, just the three refuges. Okay. Yes. And then we'll have a guided meditation. They will offer a guided meditation. And then after that, we'll have the Dharma talk. And then at 6:30, we will transition into the cafeteria where we'll have snacks and Q&A. So an informal Q&A where you can ask them questions. Yeah, right. It doesn't. Exactly. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'd like to first introduce Ayya. Okay. Is it hiding? Have your bio somewhere. So Ayya Suvijana, a little bit about Ayya. Ayya Suvijana began her practice, her meditation practice in 1976. And Ayya started with the and Ayya started with the Zen meditation and was a student of Kuban Chino Roshi in Los Altos, California. And in 1998, she was introduced to Vipassana meditation at Santa Cruz Insight. And shortly after that, she visited Abhayagiri Buddhist monastery and soon became a student of Ajahn Amaro and Ajahn Asano. And then she moved to Ukiah to be closer to the monastery. And in 2004, Ayya was called to monastic life and began her search for a monastery to train and visited Amaravati in 2005. And she became a student of Ayya Tata Loka in 2006 at the first Dhamma Vihara in Fremont, California. And Ayya received full ordination as a Bhikkhunī in August 2010 at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. And Ayya plays a supportive role in establishing Dhamma and Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. So very honored to have you here, Ayya. Yeah. This, and now Ayya is one of the founders of Passadhi Vihara. That's in Olympia, Washington. So yes, and yes, come and visit. Yeah, it's a 2-hour drive from here. Mm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or take the train. And speaking of Passadhi Vihara, I came up I came up to the area at the end of June, um, visiting with the monks and a special visit from Ajahn Sona. And while I was there, it was a very spontaneous trip. I said, okay, I'm going to drive up 4 hours for a 2-hour event, and I'm going to do it. It was this passion, this desire to meet my teachers and my commitment to come closer to the monastics. So when I was there, a really kind young lady, her name was Alex. She offered me to stay at her place. And she said, I moved here, Trina, to be close to the monastics. And I moved from the East Coast to be next to these ayahs. And she said, in the morning when we drive from Olympia back to Seattle, you'll get to meet one of them. I'm so excited. And so that morning at 6 a.m., we packed up, got into the car, and we went into the back seat of the car, and there was a nun sitting in the seat in the front passenger seat. She began to pray, and they began to pray and had their breakfast in the car as we were driving. And then when they finished their meal, you know, they turned around, looked at me, and was like, "You look so familiar." And and I said, "Do I?" And I said, "Do you mingle in other Buddhist circles?" And they said, "Maybe we just know each other from a past life." And I was like, "Okay, maybe that's the case." And then as we started talking, I said something with Portland in it, and they said to me, "Oh, I think that's where I know you." And so before I knew that I was coming, like we met. So it was just kind of like it was fate or destiny or whatever you want to call it, but our paths were meant to cross. So we met, and it was a great surprise that I learned that, oh, you're the one coming to teach at our sangha. Yeah, so it was a very sweet and lovely time, and I grilled her quite a bit on some hard questions about sangha building. And it was wonderful. Thank you for imparting your wisdom. And yes, and so that's how I met Ayya Niyyānikā that time. This is back in June. And a little bit about Ayya. Ayya goes by they, them pronouns. And Ayya became a Bhikkhunī since December 2017. And from what I heard, you started at Common Ground. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. I stalked you and saw some videos, and that's how I learned about, your background a bit more. And I was just amazed. Wow. Wow. Yeah. And they began their monastic training in 2014 and spent 8 years training in the Bhikkhunī communities at Dhamma, Dharini, and Aloka Vihara in California. And this gave them a deeper understanding of renunciation and the importance of Sangha. And they traveled for a year in the West and Asia, and that gave them a broader view of our conditioned world and how Buddhists is practiced around the world. And now Ayya is a part of building Passadhi Vihara, and that's in Olympia. And Ayya's specialty is this practice of embodiment that's based in kindness and wise compassion. And very honored to have you be here. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. We feel so blessed to be in your presence and for your teachings today. Thank you. So I'll turn it over to you.
So my understanding is you start out with the refuges, and gratitude to the teachings that have been passed down all these over 2,600 years. So we'll just start with Namo Tassa. If you care to join, it's not mandatory, but if it's in your heart and we just do it in Pali, is my understanding. That's okay. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And the precepts are below. You can take a look at them, and they're very good to keep.
Give it a whirl. Does that work? Batteries apparently, just in case. Okay. So anyone here with an opinion about how stylish this microphone is? I might have an opinion of how well it fits or a view. Today the topic is opinion and views, so it's these little things. Am I kind of reverberating? What's the? It's the glasses, I think. Okay, like this? Like this? Please, yeah, help. Oh. Ooh, I like to sit in. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. We did test it beforehand, but somehow it didn't feel so awkward. All right, is it picking up? Yeah. Not really. Okay. All right. We'll go with it. Okay, so didn't mean to have little comic relief between the wonderful homage and refuge and the guided meditation, but that happens. And I can have a view about how that goes. And I try to just, when I have those kind of views or opinions, just to soften and gently notice, am I going up into my head? Did I forget my heart? Now, is there a seat below me? So as we transitioned into this safe space together, safe enough. I mean, really, it's migrating away. Okay. All right. I was talking about, spaces, and what is that for a safe space? It's something that we cultivate and we experiment and we experience into. And that's what we do with our meditation too. We cultivate, we experience, we experiment into. Maybe I should just use the handheld one if I'm gonna.
Okay, just move it down a little bit so it's not right in front of your lips, and I think it'll be better.
Okay, well. Is this? All right. Anyone have an opinion? Am I speaking loud enough in the room? I'm getting fingers up. And can you check the online? Am I thumbs up? All right. We're getting hearts. Okay, that's what we want to be able to do in a space is notice, is this working for me? And where do I need to advocate? And where do I need to just settle and accept. So here we are. Notice that there's some sort of stability below you. And be aware of it. Don't just let it pass you by, that there is stability below me. And there is space around me. And there's space inside this body of mine, and it can be my space of practice right now. Notice if that sense, that question, that statement changes the way you breathe. Notice if you are breathing. And how. Curious, watching, allowing. The space in this body feels like this. My sense of the space around me feels like this. And feel free to make any small adjustments or change your posture altogether. Can it be supportive right now for this short time? Just practicing, experiencing, feeling into. Body breathing. Breathing body. Noticing that the breath moves the body in and out. Taking up space. Making space. Allowing movement through space. And if anything comes into the mind or sensations in the body, movements in the heart, noticing, saying, yes, I see you. It's not a pushing away, it's a gently directing. For now, we're settling. For now, we're noticing. Aware of the sensations, the movements within, the sounds external, or the scents, the sights, the touches of the world around us right now. If you wish, you might notice, is the sense of my heart warm right now? Or cool? Whatever would feel inviting, welcoming, kind to this moment. And can I make the choice to move it towards a kind state, an open state, a welcoming state. And let that be the seat of our awareness, our curiosity about movements in the body and the space around us. That the noticing itself is kind, steady, supportive, and kind. Experimenting with inclining towards settling, stilling. Meeting each sensation we notice with that kind, steady, stable heart. Just seeing the experience, it's like this. Sound hearing is like this. The sensations in my legs are like this. Can I be open, attentive, welcoming? Gently. And posing the question to myself, each one of us, to ourselves. Is this peaceful? Is this becoming more peaceful? And just letting the attention slide away from those that are not as peaceful. Maybe sliding back to awareness of the breath. Awareness of the spaciousness around us. And the same for any ruffles in the mind, any thoughts, any images. Any senses that come up in the mind. Warmly noticing, kindly noticing. And then leaning towards peace. Steady, quiet, stilling. And as you hear my voice again, notice, did anything pop into the mind? Why are they interrupting the silence? Or, oh, I'm glad they're bringing me back. Just notice. And then you can incline your mind either toward pursuing that thought or letting it go, softening, kindly noticing. And do the same when there are voices in your own head, your own heart, or images, sensations. Notice how you respond and use the meditation to incline towards a settling, a softening, a spaciousness. aware of how we can care for ourselves in this moment. When there's a sensation in the body or a movement in the mind, taking that moment to notice it's like this. And kindly moving if that is what's good for us right now. Kindly shifting or kindly staying still. It's with this quality of noticing. Then noticing what comes next, and next, and next. Giving ourselves that suggestion, maybe I move toward peacefulness, settling, softening, spaciousness. Coming back to knowing there's a surface below us. We're breathing. There's a space around us. And I'm kindly curious to the activities of this body right now. As I quietly sit here, just noticing, attentive in a gentle way. Perhaps you notice that some of the qualities of the space around us, or each of us in our own spaces, is changing. Maybe the temperature, maybe the lighting, maybe a sound. Noticing if there's any resistance towards that change. Which might be wise or maybe unnecessary, just noticing. Or if there's any embracing of the change, oh, this is so much nicer. And noticing if you can just let it go. or if there's a movement that needs a response. We have only a few minutes left in the sit. Kindly, directly experiencing right now. And perhaps as we draw near the end, reflecting back over this time of meditation, is there more settling or more tension? Agitation or lightening? Just notice. Mark if any happiness came up or sadness or any other sense. Whatever shifted, moved, just noticing. And if there was something wholesome in it, maybe marking. I did this time. It felt wholesome. I might take that into another sit another time. It's a kind discernment we apply. And when you hear the bell in that time for transition, consider carrying this quality of kindness and attentiveness into whatever way you move the body or care for it, attend. This isn't just a cushion practice, it's a heart practice. And that goes with you everywhere. So whether you're in the room or online, welcome to continue that quality of kindness towards your practice right now. And if you would benefit from standing or moving the body a little bit, if you need a restroom break. And we come back at the half mark.
Yes, yeah, 5:30. Yeah.
3 bathrooms here, one right here, one upstairs in the same location, and one in the kitchen around the corner. And maybe we'll turn the air conditioning back on while we're ready.
So for those of you on Zoom, we'll be back at 5:30. So in about 7 minutes, you're welcome to use this time to take care of yourself in whatever ways feels supportive.
Huh? Okay, yeah. Just this one like this. I got a question for you. What do you think this one means? Oh, what? Okay. Are these pretty common? Okay. I'll get it.
Find space. If you're new and you would like to, you can sign up on our email list here to get and there's a card here for Vihara signing Vihara. No, thanks.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
We're that easy. Yeah. All right, as we begin to regroup, any ways you lost touch with yourself during the break, come back. No, yeah, in this body, here it is. Any way you lost touch with the surroundings, just notice you're in a space, a Zoom space or a room space. Me. Ways you want to care for this body is, I had whiplash about a month ago, so this is a nice little, oh yeah, here it is. I discovered, oh gosh, this feels really good. Helps me remember, move towards softening. Sometimes run an arm, hand down the opposite arm or the opposite leg, and it's like just reminding, yeah, there's a body. Sometimes it's not easy to be in a body. And this is the one I got right now. Noticing any re-arriving energy you might have. What's next? Are we ready for it? Want to begin? Okay. So I either hinted, if you weren't here at the very beginning, when I said the topic today would be opinions and views. Or I said it outright, opinions and views. Anyone in here ever had an opinion? A view? It should be like this, it shouldn't be like this. If they only did it my way, the world would be such a better place. It might be true. It might be true, but just also acknowledging it's a view. It's a view. And on our path of development, we do start to hone into what's a wholesome view, what's a view that's forward leading, what's a helpful view. Where are these sense of rightness, wrongness, alignment leading me towards something that feels open, that quality of spacious, grounded, wholesome. So as we move into the Dhamma exploration, just kind of be aware when an opinion or a view pops up, because it probably will. It probably already has. And then notice how you hold it. So I'll begin with the traditional homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sangham namassami. That's a veneration. And, you notice, oh, I'm not sure I want to do that. I don't want to be a part of that. Or, oh gosh, that feels so good. Just notice, it's it's just, yes, please come and help adjust me anytime. For the purpose of quality in our communications, I need your support. So we notice these things. We notice how does that rub me? Does it open me? Does it close me? Do I close myself? Do I open myself? Do I feel like I should be opening myself? I'm not doing it right. Opinions and views. I'm just giving those real world examples where we get into the ancient texts that could have been written yesterday because they're so applicable. And please, for today, if something's arising for you and you have a comment or a question or an experience, or this is a space we can explore together. I'm not, my method isn't mug and jug. You're all mugs and I've got the jug and I'm going to pour in wisdom into you because I'm a practitioner, and you're practitioners. And granted, I've put a decade of really dedicated, shaved the head, got the look. This is my fit. Is that the right slang? I got the fit. Oh. But that doesn't give me at least at this point, I haven't noticed that it's given me the complete knowledge. I'm working toward that, as I know many of you are. And so let's explore together. So in that same way, back 2,600 years ago, there was the Buddha, and there was a bunch of monastics, a bunch of lay people, and they were curious about the teachings that different teachers had at that time. And so the story I want to go back to is a wanderer whose name is Sarabha. And Sarabha was practicing with a group of people that weren't studying under the Buddha, but they'd heard about the Buddha. And they're like, he has some special quality, and he's got some magic. He has some powers. And what that meant to them might have meant something different than what the Buddha was talking about. So they were looking for this power, this root of magic. They called it magic. And so Sarabha was sent off, go join the followers of the Buddha. Get the magic and bring it back to us. We hear that they get this magic. Actually, is it today's or yesterday was the full moon? Today. Okay. Oh, yeah. So see right there. Anyone have an opinion? Both are right. By the solar calendar, today is the full moon. And by the way that the monastics reckon when the moon aligns is if the moon came to full before the dawn, it's counted as yesterday by the way we call yesterdays and todays in Western solar calculations. See how simple it is to just be talking about the same thing and right on by? It wasn't a trick question until I realized it was. And then attended it too. But the point was that this harkens back to 2,600 years ago. This individual was told that on the full and the new moon, they do this magic and we want you to go learn it and bring it back. Well, it turns out what they thought was the magic was just the monastics gathering together and reciting the rules of how we shouldn't misbehave, which is a good thing to do. You know, if you looked at that sheet, you have 5, Ayya and I have 311. And those are only the ones that we recite. There are plenty more in how to be in harmony, how to be in alignment, how to hold things in a way that's productive and useful and forward leaning. How not to rub each other in such a way that you're increasing the conflict in the world and in yourself and in your heart and in your mind and in your body and in the bodies and hearts and minds of those who are around you and in society. So that's the importance of this coming together and saying, this is how we align together. We're going to take on these social norms and behaviors so that we can act in a way that creates a safe enough space for this practice right now, which I understand is like central to this community here. Yeah. Anyone find that valuable? How many hands can you raise? Yeah. And if you don't, notice, oh, that I don't really need that because I've got my security somewhere else. It's already rooted in something. But maybe if I come into this social norm, I can also create a space that's supportive for others and inviting and welcoming and accepting so that they too can have this sense in their hearts and their bodies and their minds that they can, I can, we can put down this burden and have a sense of ease and open and welcome so that the wisdom can land, so that the stability that we're really resting in is a refuge. So wasn't the kind of magic Sarabha was looking for. I think he wanted to fly. So he goes, and there's a senior monastic who says, yeah, I will ordain you with the group of monastics, will ordain you, and gets involved in the community, learns, can recite beautifully. This was probably somewhere in the development of the Sangha, so maybe there were only 200 rules at that time because the rules kind of came along as behavior required them to come along. And so he learned whatever number of rules were at that time, and he goes, "Oh, you know, this is kind of malarkey. It's just a bunch of rules. You know, don't kill people. Don't take things that aren't offered. For the monastics, it might also be, you know, don't kill a living plant. You know, don't cultivate plants. That's not appropriate for that role." So some of the rules were, we have rules that we're not allowed to raise our hand or hit other monastics. Came about because somebody was misbehaving. So, you know, the rules are good things, but it's not the magic, it's the container. And so he learns them, memorizes it, he's able to recite it, and then he disrobes because, okay, I got it. It's malarkey. I'm going to go back. And so he goes back and let's see if I can pick up the words as translated to English. I won't give you the Pali. See. He's recently left this teaching and he's been telling the crowd at Rajagaha, I learned the teaching of the ascetics who followed the Sakyan, that's the Buddha, that was the clan of the Buddha. Then I left their teaching and training. You know, and he's really basically saying, I came, I learned, I didn't stay. I'm back here. Oh, and I have an opinion and a view about this. And so their monastics were still in robes who maybe were part of who ordained him and brought him in and taught him the rules. And they hear this and they go, oh. So they go back to the Buddha, and sometimes monastics are simply tattletales. You know, so-and-so is not doing it. But in this case, they go to the Buddha and they say, out of compassion, could you go visit the wanderers in Sarabha? Oh, and so the Buddha hears this and in that afternoon goes and finds Sarabha sitting with the wanderers. And the Buddha says, so what do you think? What did the Buddha say? You got this all wrong. I can read your mind. You know, that's my magic. You're all messed up. No, no. But do we do that with each other? If someone's got an opinion or a view, they might have the opinion that they've learned something. And you go, no, you haven't learned that. Maybe not the best way to start the conversation. So let's see, how did the Buddha do it? He goes and he takes a seat. They've prepared a seat. He comes, he sits down with them. So they're now, sitting together. So they settle, just as we did earlier. We settled together. And then what he does is he asks. So he says to Sarabha, let's see here. Tell me, Sarabha, what have you learned of the teachings of the ascetic who follows the Sakya? Now, he is that ascetic. But he's not saying, what are you saying about me? It's not personal. It's an impersonal way of posing it. It helps make it a much more even tone. See why this could have been written for today? No. So he approaches and he says, what is it that you have learned about this? And if you have not learned it fully, I'm happy to fill you in. I'm happy to fill in the gaps. And there is a big gap. He learned what we call the discipline of the monastic life, but not the Dhamma. And he didn't look at the Dhamma, the part that actually makes you happy, the part that actually helps you to see clearly and to relate wisely. And so the Buddha knows there's a gap there, but that's not the way he approaches it. He asks a question. What is it you have learned? And then he offers. If it's out of alignment with my teaching, I'll fill you in. But then he says, but if you got it right, I will rejoice. Now, in this translation, he just calls it, I'll agree. I like Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation where he says, I rejoice. Rejoice that you learned it. So even though he's got a sense that there's probably something off here, he doesn't approach the conversation poke, poke, poke. And then he waits and he listens. And Sarabha, now if I were there and it were the Buddha and the Buddha was asking me, and if I had that internal knowledge in my body that said, I think I got something a little off, I might hang my head a little bit and go, please tell me. Or I might, oh, wow, thank you. Oh, wow, the Buddha is actually here. I got a whole bunch of questions to ask you. Or maybe I would just have the openness of, oh, please, I think you already know where I've got a gap. Please help me, fill me in. But that's not Sarabha. And there are suttas where that's what does happen. That's not this sutta. So Sarabha just is silent, doesn't say anything. And the Buddha asks a second time, please tell me exactly what it is that you learned about this teaching. And if there's any gaps, I'll fill you in. And if you got it right, I'll rejoice. Silence. Third time. Anyone know about the magic of asking 3 times? It's ancient India culture. It's also, I was in Minnesota for quite a while. It's Midwest culture. And if it's not your culture, it's how awkward it is when, so we're navigating that, but they come from kind of the same cultural standing that if you ask 3 times, you need to answer. So he asks the 3rd time, what is it you've learned? And I'm happy to fill in any gaps or rejoice if you know it. Still silence. And this makes the other wanderers uncomfortable. because, you've just violated the social rule. And so they're like, come on, the Buddha's here. He's willing to tell you what it is that fill in the gaps. And you were happy to express the opinions when he wasn't here. And now you don't want to talk about what your opinion is about the Buddhist community. We're kind of feeling like something's a little off here. So they're kind of poking and prodding him. And so the Buddha's like, no, just talks to the wanderers then, because Sarva's not responding. So sometimes we realize, oh, this individual isn't going to be taking up what I'm going to be talking about right now. But there may be people around who are interested, who would like to explore this. And feel free to interrupt me and make this a group exploration if something arises. Okay, so we're at that stage where the Buddha is going to talk to them, the wanderers, about what's going on here and give them some indications about communication and around views and exploration together. So he gives them some examples of the way people come to him with some criticism, with a view, these are the kind of things that might have been said. Buddha, you claim to be a fully awakened Buddha, but you don't understand these things. So that the Buddha's just kind of giving a short list of some of the things that people have come up to him with. In the interest of time, I'm going to group them all together. When you read the sutta, everyone is pulled out and expanded, which is wonderful for a different kind of exploration, but I want to get into our modern quandaries too. 2, they might say to him, you claim to have ended all the defilements, but I see you're still defiled. Okay, they haven't given him any information. They're just, making a claim. They're standing at the podium. That candidate doesn't know what's going on. Do we ever hear that? And the third one is, your teaching does not lead someone who practices it to the complete ending of suffering, the goal for which it is taught. Now, if someone said, hey, your practice isn't leading in the right way, you can do this. And maybe knock your mic off. Well, what do you know? I think my practice is going just fine. Which I'd question. Or you could be curious. Oh, in what ways have you seen that this practice isn't leading to what I hope that it would lead to? What I've stated that I think it will lead to. So you can open a conversation about it. This is from 2,600 years ago. It's probably happening thousands of years before then. It will probably, if we still exist, to happen thousands of years into the future. Because this is the nature of the way we are. And that's what we're practicing with. And so then the Buddha gives 3 styles of the ways that people who aren't that open, oh my gosh, please tell me more. I'd really like to know what it is that you have to say about this so that I can look at it. I'm going to sidebar just a little bit. There was a monastic visiting my lay community, Common Ground, when I wasn't even quite a notion that I maybe could do this. But the monastic was visiting and they were telling stories of their experience of visiting various different cultures and communities. And he talked about going to one, and he was sitting on the edge of, they had these platforms for the monks to sit on. And he was sitting on it like it was a chair. So his feet were over the edge. And I guess that was a no-no in that community. And so a monk came up and said, Ajahn, we don't sit with our legs over, we either sit in the cross-legged form or we stand up and we move to an appropriate seat to sit in that kind of manner. And this is Ajahn Jyotipalo, and he said, he put his hands into Anjali and says, thank you, Venerable. If you see me doing anything else, please let me know. And that sense of open and welcome, because we're not talking about, life-changing views and opinions here. Start small. But he was open. Please Venerable, tell me if you see me doing anything else, please let me know. And he said that there were a bunch of people who had come in at about the same time, and they're all in that awkward stage of what's the right way? Okay, so you walk into the room, you see this. What's the right way? So it's like, and being open to, oh, well, I'm curious. Kendall's been writing emails. What would be the right way to do this? I don't know. How could we? What would be appropriate? What would feel comfortable? And that kind of curiosity and welcome for feedback. He said that within a couple of days, he had to practice with, okay, they're approaching me again. Venerable, we don't wash our bowls like that. Venerable, we don't stand in the line that way. Venerable, your shoes should be set like this. Venerable, thank you. Venerable, if you see me doing anything else, please let me know. And he said he made it a really conscientious practice to be open to that feedback because he was integrating with that community. And he said within a few days, he was in the flow. He was comfortable and people weren't coming up to him and they related to him. They were able to converse with him and be with him. And then he looked at the others who came in at the same time and they were still awkward because they were just, oh, okay, wow, it's like this. Been there? Anyone? Yeah, definitely. So it's the same kind of thing, but that's that attitude that is kind of, yeah, it's awkward right now, but we're going to work our way through this and then we can have conversations that really matter. It's good practice with the trivial and you'll have the strength, you'll build up the heart to be able to address the things that are, really critical for our lives. And so the Buddha says, he's talking to the wanderers now. Sarabha's just sitting there. So the wanderers are curious, and he says, typically people have one of three responses. And he's talking about the negative responses at this point. The first one is they dodge the issue or they distract the discussion with irrelevant points. Anyone ever had that happen to them? Anyone ever done it? Yeah. It can be something as simple as, oh, you want the microphone to be here on the table. Oh, well, what about this Kleenex box over here? What would you like done with the Kleenex box? Rustle. I better be careful though. Just, I don't want to talk about the microphone. Let's talk about the Kleenex box. Let's, and I'm going to be picking trivial examples because you can blow them up in all of the many, many ways for yourself. I'm confident of that. The second one, they display annoyance, hate, and bitterness. Can I example with you on that one? You care about where the microphone is? and look at the body language here. So the Buddha's pointing out this is a common characteristic, a common way that we respond when someone expresses or asks a question about our views, our opinions. And the third one, or they sit silent, dismayed, shoulders drooping, downcast, depressed, with nothing to say. So do you want me to talk into the microphone still? Am I doing it okay? All right. I'm going to shake those embodiments off. But I do think it's actually helpful for us to notice, what does it feel like to dodge the issue? When we were on the way up here, yeah. And what does it feel like when someone's responding that way? Or I do this sometimes. I'm sorry. What does it feel like when I just bristle? When someone challenges my view, bristle. Is it helpful? Did I take my breath away? For me, usually, I notice. Or can I move when I've gone into that dejected state? So play with it, notice it, and with that same kind of curiosity and kindness that we used in the meditation. Oh, one of the people where we were training, there was another monastic there who would say, "Oh, there I go again." And can we do that with that curiosity and humor and kindness? There I go again. I got that behavior going. What could I do to move myself a little more towards being peaceful and settled and open, spacious, and responsive? Now, how do I create that space in myself and in my surroundings so that I'm not embodying any one of these three typical responses of 2,600 years ago and today? So I'll open it up to general questions. Maybe everyone, maybe online you couldn't hear. Ayya was asking, did the Buddha ever fill in what he was supposed to learn? And this is actually a really, really important question. And unfortunately, the answer to this is no. What the Buddha did after this conversation was he flew into the air. The Buddha, very rarely will you find that the Buddha displays an actual psychic or magic-like power. But in this particular case, he really set his point home, flew into the air and left the area. And the wanderers after that, sitting with Sarabha in the mix, went, aha. And you've probably done this with your friends too. Yeah, yeah. You're able to express those opinions, but as soon as the Buddha came along, yeah, you just they had a bunch of similes of you're like the bull who is able to just bellow and roar when the cow stall is empty, but if any of the cows come in, you get quiet. Or you want to be like a cuckoo bird who's able to just cuckoo loudly, but all you can do is squawk like a marsh hen. So they're ribbing Sarabhu, which is another way. And I like to think of it that this was a friendly kind of a banter type of thing, pointing it out to him. But maybe it wasn't. Who knows? I mean, what their motive isn't included in the story. And it could have been so many, many ways. But in this case, this story just ends with, there are these ways. I'm not able to get through to you. I'm going to speak to the others, and then I'm going to show you what you missed. And sometimes that's all you can do when you're in relationship with other people. You can argue your face blue. Is that the phrase? Blue in the face. You could, do all of these contortions and they're just not going to receive it. So just have a real faith and trust in what you do know, but hold it with the lightness that allows you to fly into the air and just sadhu. Yeah, I'm not there yet. Couldn't if I wanted to. So don't expect any flying.
It looks like Margaret has her hand up.
Oh, fantastic. Please, I move over so that we can both explore together. Oh, okay. The real deal is coming. But first, Margaret.
Well, yeah, I thank you for focusing on the sutta. Now, I'm a little bit surprised that there's no point at which the Buddha tried to steer or direct the participants' knowledge toward their attachment to their views. You know, because that until we are able to recognize that we're, you know, clutching or attaching, it seems almost, well, you know, so what's wrong with it? You know what I mean? It does, you know. So I'm just curious what you have to say about that. Thank you.
That is very interesting. One of the things that for good communications that, and I actually thank you for really bringing that up, because there needs to be this invitation.
Mm,
And Sarabha wasn't opening an invitation.
mm,
The wanderers didn't direct any of their verbal to the Buddha. They directed it to Sarabha. And so the Buddha had no invitation to go deeper.
mhm.
We often will do this in our relationship. I'm going to push to have this conversation, and the person's not there. They're not ready for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is a part of the wisdom of looking at what are the resources I have to offer,
Mhm.
and is this person or group receptive
Yes.
to what I can offer from the resources I have at this moment?
Yes. Are they ready to hear the, yeah, yeah.
This
Thank
is
you.
a beautiful and tricky sutta that just gets at so many nuances of our communications.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm.
Yeah, well, what you said was really great, that not to push or, you know, or stand on the other person if they're not receptive, then, but, yeah, it sounds like a skillful means that he did show, because this is what was impressive to those wanderers. And so sometimes, like say, action is louder or than words. So, yeah, but in my heart, I think, oh, he should have given the teaching, kind of verbal teaching, but the Buddha also has said that that it is possible to have these psychic powers with meditation and all that and attainment, but that's not the real, what's really precious, what's really important is the knowledge and freedom that we gain. The real magic is the the attainments we get from the meditation, the teaching, the liberation of heart and knowledge.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And excuse me, until they cultivate that?
Can you please repeat that?
Oh, I said, and until they cultivate that, then yeah, they're not going to be open to the universal truth, basically. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
This is a hard reality.
Mhm, mhm.
It's not one I ever wanted. I mean, I only got to it once in monastic, like, because it kept going. Everyone can get this. Everyone could definitely be kind to everyone. Some people are honestly not going to be receptive to that.
Mhm, mhm.
Question in the room.
Here.
I'm not sure you're right.
I
There.
I think we have to do this like
The end. To talk to the end of the.
Thank you so much for your presentation of the Dhamma. I'm blown away by the sutta. This is the first time I've ever heard. And for me, almost all the suttas that I've been taught or have read, there's a happy ending. You know, they say one word, one question, and boom, they're enlightened, and the Buddha, it's enlightenment, it's happened. And this is so sad because there's nothing, and he just flies away. I never heard him flying away. So it's peculiar in a way, and it's sad. It just made me sad that there was no receptivity, that there was no back and forth, that there was no, I don't know, just this conversation, discussion. So the point then of this sutta, just so I understand it, is what you were saying is that if there isn't that kind of openness to what is being spoken, it doesn't make sense to force my opinion, or in this case, the Buddha's teachings on a group of people who aren't remotely interested in hearing or engaging. And then I can fly away. So it's really interesting. Thank you. And I thank you for presenting it. And was that correct?
I think
Gone.
There. Okay. Was this one?
I think that
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
the Buddha would say things on many levels and it would be picked up by many people on many different levels. So that is one takeaway. The takeaway I like to see is that you can't be receptive to something new until you've examined I saw this beautiful example the other day. I won't actually do it because I don't want to mix our water, but now, so you each have a cup of water and it's filled up part of the way or all the way, it's at some point. And if I just start pouring my truth into the other person's cup, it quickly overflows and they didn't really receive it.
Mhm.
I need to have the opening to listen where they're giving me, they're making some space in the cup. And once there's space in the cup and the invitation, then I can fill up their cup. And I think that what's going on here is the Buddha's saying, hey, there are 3 kinds of maladaptive responses. Check yourself. Are you falling into any of these? Do you need to clean up some of the way that things are in you and how you respond? Is only once it's clean enough for you to be receptive. Trauma response, anyone? I need to care for that so that I can still breathe while I'm receiving whatever it is that's possible for me to now learn. If I don't care for it, there's no space. Oh, wow, you practically have to kiss the thing. It's all right. I'll do it with loving kindness. Okay, great. So that would be my takeaway is here are some characteristics. Are any of these blocking you from listening right now or engaging in a conversation where we can explore together and fill in the gaps and create and whatever the goal is? The wanderer's goal may or may not been the same as the Buddha's goal. You can't have the conversation about that until there's enough space. Do you have a different, or there's many ways. I don't know. Ours are left. Ours are on. Yeah. Online or no?
So how do you, in the moment, if you're having a bad response and you recognize that in yourself, how can you, in the moment, turn that into a better response and create that openness? Can you explain more about what you guys shared on that?
So I want to clarify, your bad response is when you hear something that someone said and you're responding poorly?
Yes, how do you change that into a better response in the moment?
How do I change a bad response to some idea or comment or something, information? How do I change that into more receptive?
Yes. And when I think about it too, I think about maybe our own pride or our selfishness, or it could be maybe an embarrassment. And
So if there's pride or embarrassment, this is very common. And what we're talking about here too is a view, like a strong view that my view is right and everyone else's is wrong. So I would first you can see that. I think what is to pause and watch what's going on internally. Like if someone says something to me, and there's those things with the drooping shoulders or I get very defensive, and so you see, you might tune into your body, what the body language is, and say, oh, okay, I'm being really defensive here. And sometimes it depends on who is speaking to you and how important the relationship and how open the communication is. You can, if you're like, for instance, if you're feeling really angry at what the person said, like they're correcting you and saying, no, you're doing it all wrong. And maybe they're actually correct in correcting you, but the way they're approaching you is gotten you really defensive and angry and such. You might, if you have a good relationship, you might say, right now I'm starting to feel aggravated. Can I take a little break, and then can we look at this again in a short time? Something like that. And, giving yourself a break, a pause. And you can also do that if it's not so intense and a feeling that's coming up, as a strong feeling coming up. You might really have to say, I can't deal with this right now. I really, please allow me a break. But you could also internally kind of like, oh, okay, get in touch with your breathing. How's my breathing? A lot of times I'll feel like my feet on the floor, getting in touch with the body. Can I, you even say, oh, would you please say that again? Maybe use I don't know how to reshape it. But would you please say that again, maybe a little bit differently? So I don't know, there's some language you can use with that you, or I need a little bit of time to process this. That's very interesting what you're saying. And I need to hear it. Can you explain it a little bit in a different way? Something like that, and giving both of you a little time to kind of start reframing it. And but the big thing is to notice what's going on in yourself and knowing your resistance, and then asking yourself, can I be open to this? Is this really true what they're saying? Is this really, is this what they're saying actually helpful? What's going on internally with me? So a lot of it depends on circumstances and relationship with others. And, if it's just somebody on the street, people on the street with their opinions and they don't like the way you look and something like that, you can have compassion. I go, well, that irritates me, but this person, there's a story about, there was a man, his wife told him to go get something at the market. So he goes to the market, and this guy starts yelling at him and all sorts of insulting words. He's in front of the marketplace, and he gets all rattled, and he gets what he needs, and he comes back and he tells his wife about this, and his wife goes, oh, that poor man, he's deranged, he's got a mental illness, and he just talks that way to everyone. And so understanding that, oh, well, or sometimes people are just really, they get off of the wrong side of the bed. And so can I be compassionate? This person, what's going on with them? What's going on with me? Like looking in both directions, and what the situation actually is. So do you want to say anything more about that? Is that
only in that one little bit, everything, the one little bit where you'd said about asking them to repeat it again? This is magic. because, and to do it in a slow, steady, even, and as warm-hearted way as you can. Can you say that to me again? And if it was really intended just as a barb, majority of people can't. And so right there, you actually don't need to have a conversation about it. That completed the conversation. You know, it's landed in them and you didn't take it up. Can you say that again? Or can you say that to me again? Or could you say that again? You know, and so we're not actually even needing to add the words, could you use a different tone? Could you know, most people will start to notice. And if that's maybe an irritating point, there are relationships where it's like you never hear them. So you know, this is not a one fixed deal. But sometimes it is just that simple. Your language, your speed, your tone. Take a breath before you ask.
I've actually had someone say to me, "Oh, could you state that differently so I can understand what you're saying?" I don't quite, and it may be sometimes, or I ask them, "Oh, did you mean this?" And they go, "Oh, no, it was something there. No, actually, I was saying it was." A lot of times we hear things incorrectly, or so it could be just a matter of clarity as well, but it's giving both sides a little bit of time, to understand the situation and how to work with it. And then there's somebody back with the,
Thank you.
yes.
Russ.
That's
Russ.
on, you're good.
Okay. So something I take away from the sutta is we are living in a world today where people are very divided, and you get into situations where you cannot have a conversation using logic. That is, again, there's not going to be the receptivity to that. So what I saw the Buddha do was, first of all, he didn't react with anger. And in fact, what he did was gave some examples of things where there could be some common ground. Do you recognize this, that? So he was showing loving kindness and compassion. And I think that's something that we can take away when we're dealing with people who may have opinions that are very far away from us. And again, sometimes just you need to know when you need to pick your battles and just fly away. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've heard that if your view is pointing this way and the other person's view is pointing this way, that only works when, oops, I'm not going to be able to do this. Let me just use fingers. One view is pointing this way, one view is pointing that. That only works when you realize you're pointing at the same thing. But to get to that conversation, you can speak to the people within this range of views. You can still have an open, warm heart. You can also protect everyone with that same open heart. And then those people can speak to them within this range, and this range, and this range. And so it's not your job to change the trajectory of this person's mind. It's to speak to those who will listen within this scope and keep reassessing. Every time I hear something, no matter how wild, I will tend to say, oh, it might be so. Do you want to say more about that? Or, oh, yeah, that could be that way. I've also heard, to then slowly start to make the space have more. But there are some people that just right at that and they're off, and that's it. And you don't take it with you. That's the key. Don't hold and carry all of the constriction from that experience. That's where you come back to the body and say, oh, I'm shrinking, I'm exploding, I'm leaving, whatever the response is. And you come back into, and what can I use this all what's the kindest thing right now? And a lot of times the kindest thing is just for me to reground, recenter, re-resource so that I can have the next conversation that might go a little bit better and move in increments to changing and having conversations. Does that match with your kind of, yeah, thank you.
Can you hear me through the, okay, I just have to get really close to it. So this might be something that people need to answer for themselves when they look within, but what do you think it is that makes some people more receptive to opening up to truths and reflecting, and some people more closed off? Because I see people that go through a lot of the same experiences that I've went through, or people who have experienced similar hardships, but one person will be like, yeah, because I went through this, I understand it now, and I don't judge that person, which is more toward where I tend to lean. And then someone else will be like, and I hate people who do that because I went through that and that was the wrong thing, or like they close instead of opening more. And I find that hard experiences, as much as I don't like them a lot of the time, or I don't want them to go that way, they do open me more to truths, and others will have the exact opposite effect. So I was just curious about your thoughts on that.
One word answer is conditioning. And that conditioning is beyond we both grew up in a similar socioeconomic strata. We both were exposed to these same experiences. I mean, literally my brother and I, or my sister and I, have different responses. And the conditioning is much more than, I mean, we have a different physically chemical response in our structures. We respond to a particular food differently in our digestive systems. I mean, why would we think that as I take in the words from another person, that the ear of the person next to me, even if they grew up with me, is going to respond the same way, when if I take a melon into my mouth, we're going to have a problem. My sister loves them, and so the whole experience of living as this being may be different. And so I do this. They're a conditioned being, and so am I. How I'm responding to their responding is like this because of my conditioning. What can I do that will move me in the direction that feels wholesome and nourishing for me and the people? And so you chose from your experience to come into this space. And someone who with very similar conditioning to our documented data points is choosing to be in a different kind of space entirely. So we just have to let it go as the conditioning. You might have more to say on that. Do you want to, and this, I think time-wise, does this need to be our? Okay. Okay, we can have more conversation about this, but please make that.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to caution about the word truth too, because people's truths are different. And what we think is the truth, we may be mistaken. So we have to be very cautious about that. Certainly, we want to err on the side of non-harming. So compassion, non-harming, kindness, And then just be true to ourselves. So then we need to close.
Yeah, I heard in your opening, aspire to do no harm. And so that's, that's in how we hold this too.
Yes.
Thank you, Ayya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We will continue with questions and answers in the cafeteria for those of you who'd like to join us. The tables are ready, and in that format, it would be very casual. So you're welcome to ask questions even beyond the talk that you heard today. Any questions that you'd like to ask, and this really follows the tradition of like those who come and visit the monastics. I grew up in the Asian Buddhist tradition, and usually when we have questions, we didn't go to therapists. We went to our spiritual leaders, to our monks and nuns, to seek guidance. And so you're welcome to join us. We'd love to have you all join us for snacks and tea. And in closing, I just wanted to first express on behalf of Pacific Northwest Meditation Board, the board, just a big thank you. So much gratitude to both of you, Ayas, for traveling all the way from Olympia to be here with us. Thank you for your generosity and the life that you lead, and offering your life to live these teachings and to continue to keep it alive for us. Yeah. And how you share that and impart your wisdom to us is really precious and a really, really rare gift. Especially we feel so fortunate that we have you here, in the Pacific Northwest. That I think that is just something to rejoice in. Yeah, something to rejoice in truly, and to see your path. We're just so grateful for the life that you've chosen. Yeah. Thank you so very much. Yeah. And with that too, we continue to follow in the Buddhist tradition of dana, D-A-N-A, that means generosity. And I'd like to just read something short from Sharon Salzberg. The cultivation of generosity is the beginning of spiritual awakening. Generosity has tremendous force because it arises from an inner quality of letting go, being able to let go, to give up, to renounce, and to give generously all spring from the same source. And when we practice generosity, which is dana, we open up these qualities within ourselves. So letting go gives us profound freedom and many loving ways to express that freedom. Generosity is the beginning of the path. So when the Buddha taught, he always began with generosity. So we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and if you feel moved to offer dana to the Sangha and to the Ayyas, you can put that in the donation box. There's also QR codes there. And we are a volunteer-based organization, so everything is done on volunteer. I also wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge the other board members who are here. First off, Candle, thank you, Candle, for your service in organizing this. And Elwin, if you can stand up or let everyone wave. And then we have Alpash. Alpash is also one of our teachers here as well. And then last but not least, Rob. Thank you, Rob. So this is our mini Sangha leadership, and we are, we'd love to hear your feedback and welcome you to coming. And then also welcome to our friends at Portland Insight, Karen and Maggie. So wonderful to have you here. And Nikki, yeah, so wonderful to have you here. And Jonah, yes, that's right. And Jonah, I kind of took him because I thought he's now here because he's been coming a few times. Oops.
I'm a dual agent.
Dual agent. There we go. And to
Oh,
everyone on
thank you.
Zoom, thank you so much. And I'll put the Ghana information in the chat for you. And the survey, there's a survey, a QR code for the survey right at that table there. If you can offer your feedback, that is a gift to us. And you know how we can continue to serve this community and you, that's you. So how we can continue to serve you in the way that supports you in your path. Yes, we would be so grateful for your feedback and any other announcements. Rob, Elowen, Alpesh. Okay, that's it. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. A big bow to you all and to everyone on Zoom. I will continue to keep the Zoom on for those of you on Zoom who want to participate in the Q&A. There was some requests made by folks who have certain abilities that could not come in person. So that won't be recorded, but you'll be able to continue to sit in and we'll keep one of the laptops open, but we'll have a transition here as we move into the cafeteria. So thank you all. Sadhu, sadhu.